Hi everybody, I'm James Harlan. I work in workforce development here at Richmond Community Services, and we are starting a new series called The Life of a DSP. This is our first installment. I am here today with Janet Smith. We're going to learn a little bit about what she does, her background, what inspired her to get into this line of work. Also, what are the challenges and difficulties that a DSP can face. So the purpose of this series is to highlight all of those things that I just mentioned. We're here to cover the good things as well as the things that make the job challenging. So Janet Smith, I want to thank you for coming here to do this. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
So the first thing I just want to, I want the audience to learn a little bit about you. Where were you raised?
Jamaica. I was born in Jamaica, West Indies.
Okay.
From the country part, which is Manchester, and that's where I was raised.
So when you say country part, you weren't near the city?
No, not near the city. I'm not from the city, I'm from the country.
Okay.
Honestly, where I'm from in the country, we never saw, I'm not saying it's not there, but I never see people like these that we take care of. Never.
With disabilities?
Never see people with disability. Not saying it's not there. We just never saw it.
So
Because they would keep them inside
okay.
their houses.
So families would keep them inside?
Yes, inside their houses.
So was it common for people with disabilities to go to an institution or stay with their families?
Stay with their families.
Ah, okay.
We don't have an institution. When I was growing up, there was not an institution for them. So it was like a shame to have a family with disability. So they would keep it under the hush-hush.
Which is interesting because here there was a history of institutionalizing people like that. But but at the same time there was a shame, but families would take care of them.
Yes.
And what about the elderly who need care? Do they, like here typically, a lot of people send elderly to a home. In Jamaica, what do they do with the elderly?
Keep your elderly homes. We'll take care of our families.
So that's the culture. Do you think, can I ask you, do you think that's why you see a lot of people from Jamaica in this industry? Because there's a culture of caretaking?
Okay, I think since people travel a lot, and when they come to New York, there are things they experience that back home they never experience it. Like we would always keep our elderly people home. That's our responsibility, to take care of your mother, your father, whoever. But when they came here and they see how they put them into a home, they can go visit them, you're a part of their lives. Then people would come back home and start opening nursing homes. And that's how nursing homes start, which is not much in Jamaica anyhow. But now we have nursing homes.
Do you think that's because of what they saw?
What they saw.
Okay. So what is your earliest memory of seeing someone who had a disability?
I was maybe about 13. I live in the country, so my mom would send me to the town, to do shopping. And there was this gentleman, he always sits at a window. And you could see him from outside, but his head was like really big. And we would just love to pass that house just to get a glimpse at that man. He never comes out that house. You never see him outside.
Wow.
He sits at that window and he looked out.
How did it make you feel seeing that man?
At that time, I was kind of scared of him. Scared to death. But I just want to know, why is he like that?
Okay.
Why was he like that? And honestly, I asked his brother one day.
Okay.
Because I went up to him.
Yeah.
And I said, why is your brother like that? And he said to me, he was born that way. And I said, oh, that's why he was like, because I thought it's something he did, why he was like that. But no, he was born that way.
Okay.
And the older he gets, the bigger his head becomes.
Really? Did you ever actually have the opportunity to meet that man?
No.
Never?
Never.
Okay, wow.
They wouldn't allow you to go in that house.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. So how old were you when you came to the United States?
I was like about, let me tell you, about 22.
Okay.
22 when I came here.
When did you get into the line of work of helping people with special
Right
needs?
there and then.
Really?
My first job was at Bethlehem Nursing Home,
Okay.
doing a private case.
Uh-huh.
And that pulls me in so much because I was doing a private case with a lady.
Yes.
And my job was the overnight shift. And I went to work one night and she could hardly breathe. It's like, and I went to the nurse and I said, you need to come and do something to help her because she can hardly breathe. And she said, she's acting. And I said, what do you mean acting? She can hardly breathe. And she said, we don't have time. And that shocks me. You don't have time? This is your job. And I went back in there and I put her on her side, not knowing much.
Yeah.
Because I told you we don't have those to take care of her. Put her on her side and I start patting her back. And she start breathe better. And then she start vomiting.
Okay.
So having her on her side and she vomit, she was able to.
Yeah.
And when she start vomit, I start yelling because I don't want to leave her
Sure.
to go. So I start yelling and the nurse came in and they start running up and down and I should leave the room. So I left the room and I was outside and it upsets me. It got to get to this point for you to act,
Yeah.
which if you had been there when I called you, maybe this wouldn't have happened.
Do you feel like there's been a cultural change where things like that don't happen as much? I'm not saying they don't happen, but maybe not as much.
Maybe,
Okay.
maybe.
Okay.
Because I think people, what should I say, experience more, learn more. Because maybe she was just a young nurse, who knows?
Okay. May I ask, do you have a family? Do you have children?
Yes, I have a son.
Okay. Did you raise your son while doing this kind of work?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And how do you feel it was as a parent of a younger child and doing this kind of work?
It was hard.
You think the work made it more difficult?
Yes.
Okay.
Because you'll get to work and you don't know if 7 o'clock comes, 5 o'clock and the phone rings. And you pick up the phone, which sometimes you're scared to pick up the phone. I can't make it to work today. They call out.
Okay.
You have a child to go home to.
Yeah.
And there's nobody to fill that shift.
So you're talking about the person that was to cover you when you left?
Yes.
Okay.
That person.
So then what did you do in those circumstances?
We try to get coverage as much as we can.
Yeah. And if you couldn't, what would happen with
You'd
your son?
have to stay. So now you have to call a family friend or somebody, can you go pick up my son and have him stay with you for the night?
Sure. And that's one thing. So, when we were thinking about doing this series, these are the stories that I want people to hear, right? So I'm hearing compassion from you about what you do, but at the same time, for example, there are a lot of people in this situation presently now that have children.
Yes.
That what do you do if you have a child, for example, that leaves school and they're depending upon you coming home for anything that you would depend on a parent for, and then now you can't, right? So, I mean, that's challenging. Like you said, you'd have to depend on the other people.
Other people you have to depend. And some people don't have relatives to say, go pick my son up for me. So if the son is at the babysitter, is excess money.
There you go, yeah.
You have to pay excess money. Maybe that whole day's pay you work goes to the babysitter. Then come the end of the week or the 2 weeks, you said, after you pay the babysitter, because you couldn't go home, because somebody calls out and you can't walk off the job, because the people you serve depended on you. So you work on the 2 weeks. What am I working for? Because it comes in one hand and it goes in the other.
And then there's all the other expenses, right?
Thank you.
Yeah.
That is only the babysitter, not to mention all the other expenses.
Now, were there ever times where you thought about like, all right, you know what, I need to look for work in
Oh,
another
yes.
field?
Oh, yes, a million times.
What are some of the things that kept you with this?
The individuals,
Okay.
the people we serve.
Uh-huh.
I will go home mad.
Yeah.
I'm not coming back tomorrow.
Yeah.
This is too much. They expect too much from the DSP. You're the butler, you're the cook, you're the chauffeur, you're the physical therapy, you're the nurse, you're everything. And I'm saying this is getting more and more and more every day. I'm not coming back.
Yeah.
And I go home, and in my sleep I can hear the resident calling me. You can hear, and I'll jump up sometimes. No, I'm home. I'm not at work. And then, honestly, sometimes in the morning I'll call out, I'm not coming in today. And they call me back, oh, we are so short. And I think of the resident, oh my God, they depended on me. They're waiting on me. They need my help. What am I gonna lay here all day and not go? And I'll get up and go. Because I think about that. I'm gonna give you a story.
Yeah.
I work at a house in Richmond, which not to call the name, and I work the overnight shift. In the morning, the staff came in to release me. I went home. It was a Sunday. I want to go home and cook my Sunday dinner. I went home, and then I was supposed to go to work the night, Sunday night, which is 7 to 7. And I'm tired. So I called to call out, and they said to me, oh, the individuals didn't get their meds. And I said, what? What are you talking about? 12 o'clock. I said, no. What are you talking? They said, no, the person who's supposed to give the meds never come in. And I hung up the phone. And I called the manager and called on it. They had nobody to go in.
No one who could give medication.
Nobody to give medication wants to go in.
Uh-huh.
And they called me and I said, no, I'm not going.
Yeah.
I'm tired.
Yeah.
And I started to cook my dinner and I said, no, I can't do this. I turned the stove off. I jumped in my car and I went back to the house.
Yeah.
And I said, get somebody in here at 7. Because I'm only giving the meds and leave. They said, okay, we'll have somebody at 5. Good. 5 come, nobody. They called me back. Can you just wait until 7? No, I can't. But I looked at the individual and I said, I'm not doing this for the company, I'm doing it for them. So I stayed until 7. I ended up staying until 10 o'clock that night.
Yeah.
I did not go back because of the company. I went back because the resident did not get their meds.
Yeah.
And I would do this over and over and over again because I think about them. And they're like your family, away from your family. Because I see them more often than I see even my grandson.
Yeah. And I think, what I hope that people watching this will be able to relate to your story. And another thing I want to ask you, so I think a lot of people are going to be able to relate to the idea of being frustrated, but also looking at the people that you work with and saying, okay, if I don't come to work, I'm only hurting them, right? And they don't deserve that.
They don't.
If someone, let's say a younger person, were asking you, okay, I'm thinking about becoming a DSP, what would you say are, and aside from the satisfaction of helping people that need it, just the job, the hours, the pay, what would you say to them are some of the good things? And then we'll get to some of the things where you might say, nah, you know what, don't do it.
Some of the good things, you learn a lot.
Okay.
You learn a lot from the people we serve. You learn a lot from them.
Okay.
And honestly, they suck you in. I have a resident, and as soon as I walk through the door in the morning, she's standing by the door.
Okay.
Good morning, Janet. How are you? I'm fine, thank you. She answered back. So I would say to them, look at that lady, that resident, that you're going to take care of because you're new to the company. Look how you can make her life better.
Okay.
Look at the things that you can do to involve her in the community, to make her have a life like you would love for yourself or you would love for your child. If you can do that, overlook all the little odds and end things that we go through, and look how you can make that person's life better, then this is the job for you.
Okay. So you have the satisfaction of being able to help others, learning. What if someone said to you, you know what, but I might just be a waiter or a waitress. I can make money off of tips. What would you say then would be an advantage? Is the availability of work an advantage to this job? Is the pay relative to other things, like, comparable jobs? Like,
Okay. Honestly, I'm going to tell you the truth.
Sure.
Honestly, being a waitress, you can make some good money. Okay? You don't have the responsibilities like you do in this company. But at the same time, you need health coverage. You need benefits. And it all depends on where you're aiming in life. As a young lady, you may join this field because you want to be a social worker. Or you want to be a nurse.
Okay, so it's good for that.
So this field would be the perfect field for you to start. Get to know how to treat people, get to know how to deal with people. This would be the field you start. Then if you can deal with this field, then you can become a nurse or a social worker. So I would encourage them, depends on the field they want to go. And most of the younger people comes in this field, that's where they're heading.
Okay.
Social worker,
So it's
nurses.
good if you're getting into something relevant.
Relevant.
And I would imagine also if you want to work a lot of hours, there are hours available. Let's say someone didn't have kids and they were like, you know what, I can work any and all hours.
This is the perfect place for you.
Yeah.
This would be the perfect field, not even the perfect field, because every company, company like these, they're all short. It's island-wide, worldwide. It's short, because our girlfriend coming from Florida. They're so short. So this would be the place to work the money, work the hours, but at the same time, you're not just here to work. If you're just coming for the money, no, you come because you want to help the individuals.
Okay. And the reasons why you would not recommend this job to someone?
Oh God, you want me to go there?
You can go there a little bit, yeah. Because really, part of my goal, like I said, is to relate to people, not just here, but not just in New York, but in other states. Do you think that DSPs overall probably need more respect than they get?
I think they need more respect than they get.
What do you think how do people and your peers outside in the world see your work and what you do?
Honestly, people outside see you, they respect you. They do. They said, I lift my hat off to you for the job you do. I went to an appointment this week, Monday or Tuesday. And I was there with an individual, with a resident. And a lady came up to me because she was talking nonstop and acting out, and I'm trying to keep her calm and, answer her questions. And the lady came up to me and she said, you're Job. I lift my hat off to you.
Wow, yeah.
You have patience. How do you do this? And I said, you just said it a while ago, patience. You gotta have patience.
Yeah.
And you don't do it because of the money. You do it from within. Because the money doesn't cut it. But because you have a heart And sometimes how I look at it, that could be my grandson, that could be my granddaughter, that could be my sister.
Yeah.
And I would want somebody to take the best care of them.
Yeah.
And I don't know what's going to happen to me tomorrow morning.
Sure.
And I may need somebody to take care of me. And I want them to give me the best care possible. So I got to do it to get it.
So, so you definitely make, there are monetary sacrifices because there are jobs that pay more. It's a time sacrifice. I also noticed that you have a brace on your wrist. What's that from?
Carpal tunnel. So the doctor said the lifting.
So like what kind of things do you have to lift?
Oh God, we have to lift everything. We have to lift the individuals. We put them on the Hoyer lift. And you have to get them up into the chair. You go into the bed. You got to turn them from one side to the other side, because remember, every 2 hours, you got to turn them from one side to the other side, because they can't. Those that cannot walk can't help that. They just lay right there. You can't have them lay there for 8 hours during the sleep. You can't do that. I personally can't do that.
So would you say something like this comes from years of
Years
being
of
physical?
That's what the doctor said.
Have you seen anyone else that has like body pain or
Oh
things
yes,
like that?
back pain. That's a part of it.
You're on your feet a lot?
24/7.
Yeah.
On your feet all the time, back, forth, and back and forth and back. For instance, you give in meds. You start from 4:30. Meds end at 7 o'clock.
Like I said, I always take this back to I want people to be able to relate to what you're saying, and I think we're accomplishing that goal. This interview has been fantastic. I do have like 3 questions that I want to finish with.
Good.
One, I'm going to ask you what your best day at Richmond was, or no, you know what? In the field. I want to know what your best day in the field of serving people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. I want to know your worst day.
Okay.
And we're going to finish up with one final question after that. That's for everybody watching. So what was your best day in the field?
My best day in the field. I was kind of upset just a couple of years ago. Really upset. Not from working, my own personal life. And I came into work, and I have an individual was assigned to me. And she was in the bathroom taking a shower. And I'm talking to her. She's blind. And I'm talking to her. And I'm telling her I'm angry and what makes me angry, and I'm so upset. And during the shower, she was soap. She just reached out and just gave me a hug.
Really?
And I cried. I cried. You would think somebody was beating me.
Yeah.
But owing to the fact that she's blind, and she did her hands like this.
Yeah.
She always do this to me to feel me, because she was like my girl. I would put my head on her and I would kiss her. And she did her hands and she pulled me to her with all the soap, and she just gave me a hug. And that melts my heart.
Yeah.
That was the best day in Richmond for me until today. I'll never forget it.
Okay. That's a wonderful story. And what was your worst or most challenging day?
Oh my God, give me my most challenging day.
You can always do one of your most challenging days, because there could be a lot.
2 people on a shift. Because we're so short. 2 of us on a shift. And you have 6 residents in the house. And said it's a weekend and they're home. And you have to do their goals. And you have to shower. And you have to cook. And you may have an individual who's a one-on-one. So can you imagine 2 staff that day?
Exhausted?
Oh God, you can't even say. You can't take a break. You can't eat a meal because you start eating and you gotta put it down to go to do this, and you gotta put it down. So at the end of it, you don't even want the food again.
Sure. And I wonder how many of you can relate to that situation or the situation prior. The last thing I want to wrap up with is part one of this question is, you can look at the camera. What advice would you offer to someone who's seriously considering entering the field?
Honestly, what I would say, this is a good field. I would not say it's a bad field. No, it's not. It's not a bad field. When you talk about the money, it's not good. We need more money. But serving the individual, just taking care of them and see the reactions on their face, that's the best part of this field.
And the final part, and we're going to end with this, if you were looking at the camera and hopefully leadership at another organization or any organization that does what we do here, what advice would you offer to them as far as understanding the life of a DSP? I'll turn it over to you.
Oh. You said other organizations.
Yes, not specific to here, but specific to the industry. What do you think?
Oh, you mean the industry?
Yeah, if anyone, for example, it could be in New York, it could be in New Jersey, it could be in Texas, California. If leadership of another organization or any organization that does the same work that we do here, what would you say to them or want them to know about the people that fulfill the DSP roles?
Oh. We want you to know that we are hardworking people, that we do the best we can. When a person joins your company, they may come in with an open mind, but welcoming them into your company, welcome them into your company. Show them how your company runs to take care. Just don't tell them, show them. Because telling them, oh yes, they think it's okay, we can do this. Show them. Show them what you can do for them if they join your company. Don't just tell them, show them. That makes a big difference. Just showing them other than telling them.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Really, I thank you for taking the time. Janet came up here and, you took your own car, and I really appreciate that. You're going back to work now, right?
Straight to work.
And I hope most of all, and I hope you agree with me, that people who watch this really take something from it and they understand the entirety of the role and what's difficult, what you can get from it, what positivity. And we'll be following this up. And I hope you enjoy the series. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Janet.
Okay, thank you. So can I send my bill now, fella?